Hey guys, Palsteron here, and today let's talk about Conqueror's Essence Rush. After farming various amount of risk strats over the last, I don't know, week or so, with like Abyss, Breach, you name it, I got a little bit tired of getting chased by volatile cores, having to like dodge tentacle fiends. So I wanted to go back to a little bit to the basics, for example, Essences. But I didn't want to just do the calcification strat that most people are doing right now. So I was thinking about ways to spice it up a little. And it kind of hit me when I looked at prices of, for example, some of the influenced items that do get used by mercs and how easy they are to farm, but how expensive they are, as well as some of the Conqueror Exalted Orbs and, I don't know, Orb of Conflict. So I wanted to basically build in a invitation. And since this went way better than I thought it would, I wanted to share it here. So before we start going over everything, the most interesting question I get asked is why farm tier 16 essences? As you guys know, essences do not scale with quantity, rarity, pack size, map effect, anything like that, which is a great opportunity, right? You can farm it in yellow maps, you can farm it in white maps, right? Like you don't have to alch at all, you make the map a lot easier. But the thing is, a lot of us now have geared characters, and if you still want to do essences, the question is, why not? Well, it's pretty simple. A map is filled with pack of monsters that do get scaled by all of those things, and you would be surprised by how much random currency you can actually make if you just do actually clear your map kinda-ish, and you get some returns back, right? For example, origin maps. Now, these prices here are pretty much incorrect, right? Like, this is just a snapshot I took from, I think it was 48 maps I did. Yeah, 48 maps with the invitations as well. We're going to go over all that. Originator Dunes maps right now sell for like 3-to-1 divines. You can also do jungle valleys, all of these, right? Like you can horizon them into canyons. You will drop random abomination maps, which are also selling for more in bulk. You're dropping scarabs. You're dropping random currency. Like, honestly, there is actually no reason not to run essences in alched tier 16 maps if you can do them, as long as it doesn't slow you down. And it also gives you the opportunity to run stuff like Conquerors. And so the question is, what do you pair essences with? Because at its core, essences is an extremely efficient farming strat that has some very efficient nodes, but they stop after like 60 points. So what do you do with the rest of them? So let's look at it. So first up, Conquerors mean that you can use destructive play without having to use different layouts or do stuff like cheesing Silo or Basilica. And that is because they are marked under the invitation of the Elder Slayers, right? Like usually if you're just doing normal maps, you would have to do rotations with different maps, or like I said, do Silo over and over. But that doesn't apply here. So let's look at what you actually get. You get a ton of Maven's Writs from the invitations. You get Orb of Conflict. Then you get Maven Chisels. So these are probably the most underrated ones in these kind of rotations. Some of them sell for around 4-to-1 div, up to like 8-to-1 div, 11-to-1 div. These drop quite frequently. You also get the occasional div cards like a Face Worse Than Death. I think Justified Ambition is also from it, and Dementophobia. And you're also getting Conqueror Exalted Orbs, which are quite expensive depending on which ones you drop. They go for around about 0.7 to, I think Hunter is the most expensive. No, actually, Crusader is the most expensive one right now. Either way, they're all around about 1.5-ish if on average. And just so you know, these drops, also the Exalted Orbs, do actually scale with quantity. And all of these things do actually quite add up. There's even people who only rush these, don't even do essences, literally just boss rush them, get to the boss ASAP, and they're also making around about 25 to 30 div an hour, which is cracked, but also problematic because you have to buy so many maps. So I think for me personally, I'll stick with the essences. In terms of currency, this one is from a farming session of 48 maps, so 12 rotations plus the invitations, which took me around about 1 hour, 20 minutes. And this is what I got. So we're going to talk about some of these choices here because there's actually a few things to know about this, but obviously Essence of Horrors, right? Hysteria, Delirium, Insanity, all of these can be turned into Essence of Horrors, which depends on how worth it is to actually use your life force. These numbers are mostly incorrect, so don't take this one too seriously. It's actually a little bit more, in some places a little bit less. But yeah, just to give you a little bit of a rundown. And you can see here, Chisel of Avarice, Warlord's Exalted Orb, there's a lot of them creeping up. You will drop the random Scarab here or there that is actually worth like a div, and a ton of stuff that's worth clicking on. If you look at essences on PoE Ninja, you might be mistaken in the fact that some of these are not really worth going for, but some of these values are completely out of bounds. So for example, let's take the Deafening Essence of Scorn. It says 3 chaos right here, and then I go to Faustus, and you can see that these ones go for 13 to 1 divine. So they're more like 15 to 20 C. So I just want you to understand how cooked some of these prices are when we talk about like how much money this makes, especially if you're using currency tracking, which often pulls from Period Ninja. So yeah, do not trust those numbers. Most of these are actually not 3 chaos, not even close. Same with stuff like Spite, for example. So Spites are currently selling for around about 21 to 1 div because of a lot of instackers, obviously. So they're like 10 chaos-ish each. But with all that said, some essences are not worth a lot, right? And that is fine. That is because you drop so many. It is what, if all of them were worth money, this would be like the best strat in the game, right? 100 div an hour, which is obviously not the case. So yeah, you're gonna have to make do with those, and it is definitely worth corrupting. We're also not going for calcification setup. I'll also explain why. Really quickly here, what essences do you corrupt? In short, meds, right? Misery, Envy, Dread, Scorn. These 4 right here are the ones you're corrupting, which are the money makers. They can turn into the corrupted essences. That's all you have to know. Now, I don't think it's worth actually like looking at it if there's like a stack of essences. It doesn't matter. I would only and only corrupt if one of these 4 is involved. Spite can be a little bit of a bait because it is like purple-ish, but also not really. If you get these 4 in mind, you'll get used to it. Remnants right now are actually quite expensive. They're like 40 to 1. So I would really only corrupt these right here. I'll show this later in the showcase map, but essences have gotten so much more fun. You used to have to actually open your inventory and then drag them over. Now you just have like an icon that you press on, and it is glorious. It is such a game changer, an absolute vibe even. For the Atlas, the good old struggle of what do you do with the rest of your points in the essence strat. Some people go for beasts, some people go for betrayal, some people, I don't know, go for white maps and just don't care. Some go for like a Delhi hybrid. Like I said, I chose to go for destructive play plus all of these map completion nodes right here. Also, it is weirdly bugged. This is one more thing that I will say about destructive play. It is sometimes weirdly bugged where you get bosses both before the Conqueror and then in the Conqueror room itself as well, which is an extra upside that I don't really know when it happens or what it happens. Maybe you know, you can mention it down below in the description. I was not aware of this. I know back in the day there was a time where it actually always doubled up, then they fixed that, and now it's kind of like weird. I'm not really sure. Other than that, we are actually scaling map effect because it does scale quantity, which scales the amount of exalted orbs you drop, as well as that, like I said, do not underestimate the random scarabs that are dropping, the random maps that are dropping. So that's why we're still taking stuff like the memory influence map chance. So you get your dunes that sell for like 60 C a pop. And we still have remarkable relics, chittering champions, and we're also going for extra ambush scarabs, extra cartography. But a lot of the answer, why do you pick this in an essence strat, is because there's not much else to do. The superstars are obviously still the essences. Everything else is kind of min-maxing. Now, this trade is a pretty good segue into another reason why I do Conquerors a lot. It's these right here. So this wand, this Crusader wand, and also this Hunter dagger that I'm currently selling. You might be wondering why this guy is buying this for 159 chaos. And that is because a lot of these are used for mercs. So believe it or not, you can roll these for Malevolence aura effect or Wrath or Zealotry aura effect. And these actually drop quite frequently. Other than daggers and wands, we also have stuff like Lathi here selling for over a div. I don't know if this is just a fluke, right? But these are also being used. Yeah, there's a lot of small other stuff, like if you get a good influence, opal rings or crystal belt or whatever. These kind of things that I can't really all note in this video simply because the meta is going to change. But definitely always show Hunter daggers and Crusader wands. Now, there's a ton of different setups when it comes to scarabs and essences. A lot of people are using calcification right now for a reason. Rare monsters of the area are imprisoned by essences. You can get a lot more per map, but it is also an expensive thing per map, and this might not seem like much, right? 3 for 1 divine, but if you're chunking through maps, it can be quite a bit. On top of that, 2 adversaries, stability and ascent. Ascent tier higher, and stability makes it so your remnants of corruptions have a way higher chance to give you corrupted essences. These are still worth it, don't get me wrong, calcifications, but I'll show you why I'm actually using a normal setup. So I'm using triple essence scarab plus ascent and stability once again, simply because this makes your map time longer. And I've actually found that Conqueror maps are very, very good money. So it would be a weird deal where I'm actually investing into a expensive scarab to make my maps longer. This is something you can play around with. I personally have found this to be slightly worse, but it's not far off, so whatever floats your boat. But this is the one I'm going to be showing you. So let's do this one real quickly. I usually pick like a full Rota out of here. How to prep these I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Let's just start, I don't know, with Veritania, Red Canyon, Maven Influence, Essence Map Device, and off we go. So 2 important things to know. You do not have to open your inventory anymore, which is a big deal. Let's do it like this. You just have to have your remnants in your inventory, and they will be picked out whenever you get to a mob. So let's just jump in right here. And this is where I say that your build actually does matter quite a bit. Not just... So here we have Misery, right? Which is one of the 4 that I talked about. So you can click this, and yeah, you basically had a chance to get an Essence of Horror. Click, move on. Now, do try to clear a little bit while you're doing this, because you are going to drop random maps. You're going to drop random scarabs sometimes, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but you're chunking through maps. You would be surprised by how much it actually changes the outcome. So do not even think about ever clicking on the Remnant unless there is one of the 4 mentioned scarabs that can actually turn into a corrupted one. So we click, boom. So for example, here I dropped a Dunes. This one is like 70C, right? It's like, why do I not run white? Why do I not run white essence maps? This is the reason right there. I got Maven Chisels right there. This map was pretty bad. I didn't get a corrupted essence. My average for corrupted essences currently is around about 1.5 each. The boss is already killed. We go in and we pop up. There you go. One shot, Veritania. Boop, and we're out of here. Veritania's crest, right? You have round about a 3 to 5% chance to... Okay, so here, for example, right, the boss is spawned again. This is what I meant earlier. Sometimes they spawn double, sometimes they don't. I'm not really sure what that has to do with. Boom, next map in. Once again, Essence, Maven, boom, and so on. And we're going to do a full rotation here. Now, another thing that you need to note is that it is actually worth to pick up some of these Shriekings as well. I'm actually straight up picking up all Shriekings right now, simply because of certain crafting methods that you can do. I'm not going to go into it too much, but if you want to watch Crouching Tuna's video about recombinators and how you can kind of like, I don't know, exclude certain modifiers, then do that. I'm getting very unlucky for this showcase. Doesn't really matter. We're just clicking on essences. We're collecting our stuff, and we're killing things. This is another one. All right, I got my first one. I actually put them on Tink, so I have a little bit of extra girth here or there. But yeah, so if you're asking how much damage does this roundabout need, I would say 50 million single target damage is a good number. I currently have roundabout 200 mil. It's not always up. If I have less AoE, I only have like 50 mil because I'm not really overlapping. This build guide will be out soon as well. But yeah, that is around about all you do. Gonna get to the boss again. Just clear the boss. Okay, more money, more money. Go in. Drox is a little bit delayed. But yeah. March with the boss real quick. Wait. Other than this guy, all the bosses are immediate, so it's actually very, very comfy. You've seen here, this is one of the random diff cards they can drop. For example, here against Baron, I dropped another Influenced Wand, which is currently 1 Divine. Small side note, by the way, I actually leveled to 100 with the strat. I started at 99 with 0%. So yeah, essences are not as scary as you might think, but it obviously depends on how good your build is. Obviously, I'm very decked out, but just so you know, if you're used to risk farming and stuff like that, you should be fine. All right, so after we did the 4 maps, you'll get here to the invitation. And important to note, you cannot lose the quantity that you have on it. What do I mean by that? So you're gonna alch. I usually roll until I get 70 quantity. Which is round about 5-ish kills usually to roll. Here I got lucky. And you cannot downgrade on these invitations. So if you corrupt, you can never like go down to like 46 or something like that. But you can go up further. In this case, we didn't. We only got 70 quant, right? You open in. The invitation is overall pretty easy if you have a decked out character already. Baron is a little bit of a bitch. And also... our boy Drox is delayed, right? So we're going to have to wait a little bit. He has his phase. And we just wait until then. Oh yeah, should be dead. And there you go. We dropped an Orb of Conflict, got some of the crests. The splinters right here is why it's always worth to roll for at least 70 quant, because you'll get between 5 and 7 depending on how much you have, and a full Maven's Writ currently sells for around about 150 C, even a little bit more in bulk, and Orb of Conflicts are currently going for almost a divine, which is why no matter what people tell you, you can never lose money even if you have an ultra unlucky streak. Then let's talk about how to get Conqueror Maps. I'll show you how you can get them on trade obviously, but also how you can self-farm them. So most important thing, if you're trading on TFT, you might have heard the stuff with like buy sets, right? So what that means is get 1 Baron, 1 Alhazmin, 1 Drox, and 1 Redeemer right here. And the thing is, that's a thing of the past. And you might not know this because you haven't read the patch notes, but what you can do is you can Orb of Horizon these, right? So whatever influence you are right now, you will see the boss now also changes. So please don't get baited by that terminology and do not pay extra for sets. Now the maps are located right here on the trading website, Conqueror and Influenced maps, and they are covered by these bosses. You can, however, not search for tier 16s. They are a little bit more money than 14s and 15s, and I'll show you how to prep them yourself, but whatever you want. So for example, I go Alhazmin. I usually select all of them because, like I said, you can Horizon Orb anyways. Horizon Orbs currently are like 500 to 1 div or something. Then you do stock count if you want to buy in bulk, right? And you see what's up. This is roundabout what I paid, between 20 and 25C, but honestly, I fully expect this to go up because of how expensive a lot of these things are right now. It seems a little bit out of whack, but yeah, you can buy them here easily. You don't have to overspend. Now, the next thing I'll show you is completely, and I mean completely, optional. Tier 16s on average drop better stuff than 14s and 15s. They drop the more of the influenced originator maps, and they drop tier 17s and stuff like that. You would be surprised by how much that little difference actually makes. So I personally prep them all for tier 16, which also means I can Horizon them all into canyons, which means I can just run one layout over and over. And the way I do this is, as you know, you get tier 14s, you get tier 15s, is actually with Harbinger Orbs. These upgrade the map tier of a map, and they're very cheap because nobody uses them, and a lot of people are farming Harbies. So you can see they're like 100 to 1s, or like 2 chaos each. Here's what I would recommend. I don't know if they're worth it on tier 14s because you have to click 2 times, but on tier 15s, they're definitely worth it. Now, if they only had this as an outcome, they would always be worth it. However, they can brick into beachhead maps. If you don't know what that means, is let's see if we actually hit one. Boom, boom. In this case, it went well. We got to tier 16, Canyon. If it wasn't Canyon, you can also Horizon Orb. And here, yeah, there it goes. This happens around about 1 in 7 times, and you can actually brick your map into beachheads. These currently sell for like 9C each. And for me personally, it has still been worth it, but it is a little bit of a setup time, like 10 to 20 minutes every stash step or so right here. This is up to you. You can do whatever you want. Now, if you don't only have tier 16s, you can go for just look what tier 15s, for example, are actually worth running, right? So for example, on tier 16, Canyon is definitely the best one to Horizon Orb into. If you want to see your natural maps, all you have to do is put out your Void Stones and just look right here. So tier 15, let's see. We have Wasteland. Ashen Woods is a very good one, actually. I would always Horizon Orb into Ashen Woods. All you're looking for in terms of layouts is layouts where you can't miss essences. So where it's pretty straightforward, you know what's going on. And for tier 14s, if you don't want a Harbinger Orb at all, then I guess what would you go for? Cold River, Temple, Maze, Peninsula. Probably Peninsula, although I will say these tier 14s kind of suck. I would probably at least Harbinger Orb to tier 15. Small thing, I guess, but I would definitely chisel the maps. They already come with 16 to 20% quality, though. So if you look right here, you can just one-tap them once, and then they go to 20. As well as that, a pretty interesting question is Remnant nodes. What do I mean by that? There's 2 nodes here that say monsters imprisoned have 10% chance to contain a Remnant of Corruption. At current prices, this is not worth it. I tested this on stream for around about 2 hours. I don't have the set of the data anymore, sorry, but for me personally, it isn't. You can try it out yourself. So here's the thing. If a monster, if a essence has a Remnant of Corruption, that means, yes, you get free 7 chaos, but it also means you can't corrupt it anymore, so you can't get corruption outcome into Essence of Horrors or anything like that, which is not that bad because you don't want to corrupt every essence, and you do get that free 7 chaos whenever this procs, but at current pricing, it is very far from worth it. In my personal opinion, I would actually, I know it's nice to be able to self-sustain them, and if you want to take a hit, just do it. But with Faustus, I just really do not see the reason not to just go here and just buy them. But test this out yourself. Maybe in the future, Remnants are like 20 to 1 for some reason, and then this changes. Now, while I did buy quite a bit of Conqueror Maps, I also farmed some of them myself, and I'll quickly show you how to do it. This one requires a very good character, though. Now, since the essences I just showed you are tier 16s, there are no like pushovers, right? So it is quite hard to kill them. They do hit quite hard. You probably need a lot of single target damage, but this one needs a very all-round strong character because we're using 3 risk scarabs. But if you can do this, I think it is actually quite worth. It depends on how much certain things are at the moment. So it all revolves around the Scarab of Conversion. And this one has a chance that tier 14 plus maps in your map drop as Shaper, Elder, Conqueror, or Synth maps instead. Now, the way this works is at the start of the map, it actually gives you a 1 in 4 chance, and then all the maps that you proc will be exactly that. So for example, if you drop 1 Conqueror map, you will know, oh, so in this map, it will be all Conqueror maps if they get converted. Sometimes you get Shapers, which are not that good, obviously. They only sell for like 7 to 8 to 9 chaos in bulk. As you can see, I have quite a few here. Elder ones are actually quite nice to run with your mappers if you have King's March set up. Because you just get the fragments for free. So that's what I do with those. And the unique ones I'm actually going to sell soon. These sell for quite a bit. These are, so these sell for 20 to 25 chaos in bulk. People are actually running them. So these are quite money as well. If you start dropping them, it's quite nice. As far as I know, there's no waiting on these. So it's a 1 in 4 chance to get Conqueror maps. Like I said, Synth maps are also worth it. And then Elder and Shaper are worth less. On this one, I'm actually running Delhi. It gives you quite a bit of money back. Simus are a lot of money. Otherwise, I'm just taking all the quant, all the map effect, all the map nodes, right? Like it's a pretty standard map farm. 16.5s roll for at least 100% more maps. Normal quality, not much more to say about it. I will actually exalt this one. At least I used to do it back then. And they should only have 4 mods. Yeah, it is actually worth to exalt that slam. Now, it depends on what you can run, how much you can run, but we'll see. I personally have a mana flask. I hope I have a mana flask against no region, but I can run anything else. Let's hope it doesn't proc for the showcase. I guess important as well is Shrine. So we're actually using Domination on the map effect. We are using quite a bit of extra shrines, which is just very good for extra monsters that drop maps. So we go Domination, boom, and we chunk in Eater of Worlds. So everything should be set up. Correct Atlas tree. I'll just show you this real quickly because it is actually quite a treat to farm this. Is this worth it? This is actually less currency per hour than the strat I just showed you. However, you don't know what happens to a lot of these maps. So maybe at some point it will actually be worth more. These are also considerably harder to farm though. Just telling you right now, and they need 16.5s. So I don't have no region. The Enlightened, that is just a lucky drop. Let's see if we start seeing some of those influenced maps or not. We don't have any altars right now. Yeah, so I usually just click the blue altars because there's a lot of map. Okay, in this case, we got screwed. We got Shaper maps, but you'll kind of see the gist of how many you can drop. I am actually hiding normal tier 16 maps just in case you're wondering. I'm not sure what's happening right here. It should be a pretty harsh map. Another one. And you're going to pull out a lot of those, a lot of 16.5s as well, obviously, a lot of A-bomb maps, and so on. This is something I've been running for a while, and it was quite fun, but it is obviously very stressful. This is a very tanky map, but I don't think anything crazy got added here. Yeah, it's just very tanky monsters overall, since I do have quite a bit of damage. Let's hope I don't miss a divine altar here. The canyon right here is already quite a bit of money. Boom. But yeah, overall, this is how you farm influenced maps. Let's just kind of finish it. One thing I will say, if you're doing jungle valleys, so here we got number 4, number 5, another canyon, number 6. And this could have been Conqueror maps, like I said. It also could have been synth maps, in which case you probably would have sold them. You can also run Shaper rotations, even on the strat I showed you earlier, but personally, I don't think it's worth because some of the layouts are just very, very scuffed. If you're doing this on Jungle Valley, a lot of people skip the boss because it takes long. Do not skip the boss, because on these map strats, very often what happens is you will actually drop maps from the boss. So yeah, if you know, you know. Just wait for the boss real quickly. I would say the best for this is probably Jungle Value, just because it has really good altars. In this case, we didn't get anything from the boss, but as you can see, there's a ton of normal maps if that's something you're interested in. Or maybe you want to combine it with 8 mod farming. But yeah, also the reason I added Delhi is exactly this. You're going to get like 80 to, I don't know, usually you get a little bit less splinters. But yeah, Delhi's simulacrums in bulk currently sell for like 90 C. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Build guide for the Stormcaller will be out soon. This has been an absolute blast, and essences have been really fun to come back to, a little bit more of a grounded farming strat and still a ton of divs per hour. But yeah, whatever you're farming, hope you're having fun. And since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.